8K TVs. How big does a TV need to be before 8K makes sense? Who's even putting out an 8K signal? And by the way, where are all the 8K TVs? It's 8K all day coming right up on You Asked. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Caleb Dennison, and this is You Asked, the show where I answer questions that you asked in hopes that I can help you and others with similar tech questions. If you have a question you'd like me to answer, please send it to youasked@digitaltrends.com, and we'll see if your question gets picked to be answered on the show. Today's episode is the first of a new edition of You Asked episodes in which we take a dive into one topic and answer a bunch of questions related to that topic. This time I asked and you answered, and it sounds like a lot of you think that this is a great idea, so thank you. Today's topic is 8K TVs, and if you have a topic suggestion, let me know down in the comments and we can proactively field questions for that topic from the community. So let's get going here. Webway 2000 said, "It's 2024, why are we still focused on 4K TVs? Where are my 8K TVs?" And Jimmy's Brand wrote, in reference to my recent Sony 2024 TV overview video, "No 8K TV with their nearly perfected mini LED formula?" So thanks to both of you for sending in questions that kind of hover around the same curiosity. Where are the 8K TVs? Well, I think a big part of answering that question involves talking about what happened to 8K TVs already. But let's first start with the shortest 8K TV explainer ever, just so that we're on the same page here. 8K TVs are TVs with extremely high resolution. The 4K TV that you buy today has 4 times the resolution, or 4 times the number of pixels, as the 1080p TVs that we used to buy. 1080p TVs were called HD, and 4K TVs are called Ultra HD. Now, 8K TVs quadruple down on that, right? They have 4 times the resolution, 4 times as many pixels as 4K TVs. Oddly though, 8K TVs are not called Super D Duper Ultra HD or anything. They are just labeled as 8K Ultra HD. You could essentially fit 4 1080p TVs inside a 4K TV, and you could essentially fit 4 4K TVs worth of pixels into an 8K TV. Now, historically, more pixels, or higher resolution, has meant a sharper, more detailed image. But, ironically, and I'm just issuing a pun alert right now with plenty of time to prepare yourself for the eye rolls and groans here, ironically, 8K TVs have blurred the lines, tying together higher resolution and higher performance. I'm sorry, guys. I don't get out much these days. These puns are all I have. Please forgive me. Anyway, for those of you who don't follow TVs closely, it used to be that most major TV brands offered at least one 8K TV model in the US and Europe anyway. Hisense, TCL, Sony, LG, and Samsung all had 8K TVs as their flagship models in 2021, for example. But in 2022, we saw fewer new 8K TVs than before, and in 2023 at CES, it became clear that 8K TVs were not a focus for any of those brands, except Samsung. Now, all those brands do make 8K TVs for other markets, and to be fair, LG still has an 8K OLED that you can buy starting at 10 grand, and the Sony Z9K, which has been around for years now, can still be purchased for $8,000 or so, but those are all carryover models from prior years. Only Samsung is delivering new 8K TVs every year. This year, that would be the QN900D and QN800D. And it seems like only Samsung is making them in more approachable screen sizes, like 65 inches. So what happened? Why did TV brands back off of 8K TVs? Well, simply put, they didn't sell enough of them. In order for it to be worth making a product, you need to sell enough of them to make a profit. And that is an uphill climb for 8K TVs because 8K TVs are more expensive to produce for a variety of reasons. So naturally, the next question is, why didn't 8K TVs sell well? And the answer to that question ultimately leads to because they were very expensive. And they are expensive to buy because they're expensive to make, yes, but also they necessarily needed to be more expensive than 4K TVs. I mean, they're supposed to be an upgrade, right? And that notion right there, that 8K TVs need to be an obvious upgrade, that's the other reason that 8K TVs have struggled to sell. And this leads us nicely to another viewer question. It comes from Bear Hall, who asks, who puts out an 8K signal? Now, I'm going to answer that question directly in just a moment. This is not a politician move. It's just that first, I want to call out the sentiment that that question points to. It's the where's the content question. 8K TVs just came out too soon, if you ask me, from a consumer marketing perspective anyway. See, when 8K TVs came out, people were still complaining about a lack of 4K content. This was back before just about everything that you streamed on Netflix was in 4K. So the idea that you might buy an 8K TV when even 4K content was hard to come by was laughable. And in fact, folks still laugh about that today. In fact, I'll be shocked if this video doesn't already have a bunch of "there's no 8K content" comments. Sorry, I don't mean to make fun of anybody. It's just that I've been seeing these comments for a long time. But there's yet another important reason 8K TVs have been on the struggle bus since they were first introduced. Folks literally can't see the benefit. Even with 8K native content, the difference between a 65-inch 4K TV and a 65-inch 8K TV is negligible at best to the average consumer. At 85 inches, you can see a difference between 4K and 8K, with 8K content anyway, but you've got to look pretty close. And again, the lack of 8K content makes that a problem. The difference between upscaled 4K content and native 8K content on an 85-inch TV is really tough to see for most people. And while 85-inch TVs are a rapidly growing screen size in North America, they tend to be expensive enough as 4K TVs, let alone as an 8K model. I mean, the 85-inch Samsung QN800D is $6,000, and the 85-inch QN900D is $8,000. Ouch! That's a rich person's game. And this price talk leads us nicely into two other viewer questions. Ramanuj Lal writes, what do you think about 4K at 98 inches? Somehow I feel that 8K with upscaling is required for screen sizes over 85 inches for a modern apartment living room setup. What do you think? And Alder98BR writes, do you think a 98-inch TV requires 8K? So I do feel that the 98-inch screen size is the point at which folks can recognize the benefit of 8K over 4K. And that's not a scientific thing, it's just that 98 tends to be the next biggest size after 85. And that's even if the content being viewed is just 4K content upscaled to 8K by the TV. But here's the thing. It has less to do with the immensity of the screen size than it does the fact that screen sizes are getting bigger, but living rooms are not. See, from a great distance, you can't see the benefit of 8K over 4K, but when you're sitting just 9 to 15 feet from a 98-inch TV, yeah, you can see the resolution improvement of 8K over 4K. But now we have to go back to the price. Because if an 85-inch 8K TV is going for no less than $5,000 or $6,000, there is no way a 98-inch 8K TV could sell for anything less than $10,000. And likely it's going to be way, way more. Now, I admit this video may not age well. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked if in 4 years or so we look back at this and laugh because 98-inch 8K TVs go for less than $5,000. But for now, a 98-inch 8K TV would be prohibitively expensive. And while I do think that 4K content upscaled to 8K looks better at these larger screen sizes, I still think that a lack of true 8K content to enjoy is going to be a part of the problem. So now I kind of have to speak to the challenges around 8K content. But first, we have to talk about the chicken or the egg conundrum that has existed around TVs and content for decades now. See, you can just as easily ask, why make 8K content if there are no 8K TVs to watch it on, as you can ask the much more popular question, why make 8K TVs if there's no 8K content to watch? I mean, it's easier to ask that latter question because as consumers, it's our money that we're talking about, right? Making 8K content is about somebody else's money. But historically, TV brands, especially Sony, which came out with the first 4K TV brands have shouldered the burden by making the TV so that content creators had a reason to make the content to play on those TVs. And I think that's why we got 8K TVs so soon after 4K TVs were introduced. Maybe the players involved thought, well, we might as well start now. Or maybe they saw an opportunity to capitalize on the success that 4K was having by pushing this idea that if you really wanted to future-proof, you'd get the highest resolution TV that you could buy. And admittedly, I've floated that narrative a few times myself. But even now, there are precious few sources of 8K content, and the sources that do exist don't have a ton of the 8K content. YouTube is where you'll find most of the world's 8K content ready to stream. You will also see 8K broadcasts happening mostly in Japan because NHK especially is just a pioneer like that. But mostly YouTube is where you'll find 8K content. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. I don't think we'll ever see 8K Blu-ray discs. And while we may one day see 8K downloads take off, streaming 8K is going to be an issue so long as bandwidth caps, which are a ridiculous, archaic idea in my opinion, so long as those continue to be a thing. So that, my friends, is the state of affairs around 8K TVs, and the only way I see it changing requires democratizing high-speed internet for everyone with no data cap. When we all have gigabit internet for a flat monthly fee, well then maybe the 8K content story will change. For now though, the only way 8K TVs can take off is if TV brands decide to flip a switch and just make 8K the new standard. Panel manufacturers are going to need to transition to making mostly 8K panels, upscaling processors need to get more powerful for less money, and TV brands will need to commit to making 8K TVs the norm. Figure out how to make them energy efficient and less expensive to produce. Then, and only then, will we see the 8K revolution that we were promised over 5 years ago. Thanks as always for watching, everyone. What did you think of this week's topic-based episode? Let me know down in the comments. Give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll see you on the next one, and until then, here's 2 other videos I think you might like.